I have to keep reminding Japanese people of this every time we have a discussion about so-called foreigner issues. But seems like that's getting harder today as we have more and more tourists in big cities, where foreign residents are also increasing. For example, nearly a quarter of the population in Shinjuku are foreign residents now.
なんか結構もう日常茶飯事で外国人の方がいらっしゃるから、僕たちも難しいです。はい。結構みんな難しくて。
If you're in a big city, it's very hard to distinguish. There's just a lot more tourists in Japan than there ever has been. So
there's more tourists coming back. During COVID, when I was here, of course, I'm a foreigner, but they would assume because I'm here during COVID that I live here. So they would talk to me in Japanese. But now that the tourists are coming back, I get the English menu more often and people try to speak to me in broken English.
There's a Japanese concept, uchi and soto. Uchi refers to your inner social circle. Soto refers to those outside the inner circle. In a company, for example, your coworker or boss are considered uchi, but anyone outside the company is soto. Unfortunately, foreigners are often most outsiders, as the kanji character says so. Japanese people pay a lot of attention to uchi, but pay much less to soto.
私なら分けられますので、これが観光客か、在地とか、外国人ならちょっと分けられるんですけど、日本人ならちょっと分けられない。
So most Japanese people stick to the distinction, which was okay during the COVID, but today it clearly doesn't work.
Naturally very frustrating as a foreigner living here because you just feel like, why am I being blamed for everything?
For example, these issues happening in big cities are often caused by tourism or foreign investors, and the government's not handling them well, which most foreign residents are not responsible for, since they don't have the right to vote. Some of them surely do crime, but overall, their crime rate's not higher statistically speaking. Not to mention that most of the serious crimes in Japan committed by Japanese people, and they are not receiving welfare benefits disproportionately. Despite all that, most Japanese people I personally talk to never make a clear distinction and quite often blame all of them, which is not gonna happen at least in Germany. Some people might hate you based on your race, but definitely not simply because you are foreigner.
外国人だから嫌な感じで、嫌な顔で。観光客はちょっと、あまりわかんないのじゃん？法律とかあれとかは。それでみんな悪いと思わないでほしい。真面目な人もいる。
Now you might still not get it. This nation increasingly depends on foreign residents to the point where the society might not gonna function without them. At this point, shouldn't they be recognized as insider? Based on my observation, there are three factors that prevent us from there. Unfortunately, this applies to even myself, who I saw has gotten a lot of interactions with foreign residents. First of all, foreign residents are not so diverse when it comes to nationality. The vast majority of them came from these countries, and I have to say, especially those are the ones incapable of speaking Japanese and never gonna interact with us outside their work. I notice many of them can't speak not just Japanese, but English either, so we have no way to communicate. As you might know, most Japanese assume foreigners speak English as if they were all Westerners, and when Japanese say they have foreign friends, those friends would be almost always Westerners who speak English or Japanese. They still haven't talked to most other foreign residents because of the reason I mentioned earlier. But it's not entirely their fault. Their visa or job doesn't often require certain language level, and they're coming here with zero Japanese language skill.
This program has been a popular way for people from developing countries to work in Japanese industries with labor shortages, but it has been criticized for creating poor working conditions and leading to exploitation of foreign workers.
Keep working underpaid, have no time to study Japanese, or even opportunity to use the language. In Japan, many of the cities or wards often hold events or activities. For example, in my town, we do this every Sunday morning, and I've never seen any foreign residents actively participate in those, so we have no chance to see them as residents in the same town. We only see them as foreign workers, not foreign residents, and that's a big difference. Anyway, some of the foreign residents I talk to say because of language barrier, it's hard to participate, and more importantly, they don't think we are welcoming, which may be actually true because this is often the case in Japan. Our big motivation to make foreign friends, at least initially, is to improve our English level. So if you don't speak Japanese or English either, we have no reason to be friends with you.
友達はないんですけどね。ミャンマー人のあれの自分の国のあれ友達が多いですけど、大体みんな知ってるんですけどね。日本のルールとかマナーとかはそんなに 喋られないんですよね。勉強しないと全然ダメ。
In a city in Narita specifically, 40% never talk to their neighbors, which might be the case in most other cities. Chances are that we haven't communicated even once, so we don't even know what the foreign residents actually like. Especially today, most foreigners we see are tourists, or those on social media and TV shows, which bring my next reason. Over the decades, those TV shows clearly increased a lot and getting popular for entertainment. Though people might be more familiar with foreigners because of that, I think it's having a lot of negative influence and further reinforce the stereotypes. Those TV never show us average foreign residents. They rather feature eccentric or crazy gaijins that we assume is a typical foreigner trait, which I find different from Korean TV shows. They show you a lot of foreigners who are culturally more like Korean and speak fluent Korean. But that's not the case in a Japanese TV show. Even when a foreigner who speaks fluent Japanese appears, it often centers around being a foreigner or culturally different from us. And this is what my friend Takuya talks about those TV shows.
やっぱキャラクタライゼーションされてます。その色はどうしても強くなると思う。やっぱテレビとしても面白さとして作りたいと思うので、ちゃんとリサイドしてる方とかって合わせようと努力してる人が多いので、やっぱここのギャップがありすぎると良くないから、それはちょっとメディア、エンターテインメントっていうところを切り離さないといけないっていう。
As you know, so many Japanese people say this in Japan, but where does the assumption come from? It's partially because of these TV shows, in my opinion, which purposely makes them look like they know nothing about Japanese culture.
外国人の人は文化が違うから、ちょっとなんか悪いところもある、悪い人もいる。
日本独自の文化を大事にしたいから、それが崩れちゃうと悲しいなっていう。
But even bigger reason might be this. In Germany at least, I've never seen anyone using the word even once, but it's really common to use it in Japanese language.
I don't really want to use the word foreigners, but we use it because it's so dwelled deep in our language.
The word foreigner is such a broad term. By definition, these are all foreigners, but totally different in too many ways. To be fair though, we certainly have a word for foreign residents, 在日外国人 or 在留外国人. But in conversation, people often skip the part and neglect to specify which foreigners we are talking about. So naturally, we use 外国人 way more often. It's just so common to use it, and linguistically, it totally makes sense. Japanese language has three strong traits which heavily influence our character to the core: seniority, indirectness, ambiguity. So you're gonna see a lot of vocabulary and expressions to manifest these three. This might sound weird, but we find it intelligent and savvy. Rather than specify, we often prefer to make it vague, so omit the part and simplify, which is considered a virtue. Now, as you might already know, many Japanese people are frustrated, particularly by Chinese tourists, who are the largest foreigner group. And some even say most of the foreigner issues are caused by them. But we can't put a poster like "No Chinese allowed." This is too direct and too specific for us. So we rather use foreigner to make it vague. And that way, it's not gonna be too offensive to Chinese people or someone specific. Anyway, here you have it. I know there must be so many other reasons, so I wanna hear your thoughts on that and what would be the solution. Right now, I'm trying to start a petition with my friend, and here is what we want to spread in your local town. Obviously, we're not gonna make a huge difference because it's a really small town, but at least we wanna try to spread the awareness for distinguishing between tourists and residents more clearly. But let me know your thoughts on these measures. Do you think it's gonna work?